This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Hello, I'm Josh Hallam and welcome back to another Just Films and That New Release review. How you doing? Hope you're well and thank you very much for listening. Whilst I've got your attention, before we get into it, if you could head on over to whatever you're listening to this on, give us a little 5-star rating and review. We massively appreciate it because it helps people find the podcast. Anyway, this time around, we're back in the comic book world and reviewing one of this year's big releases, Deadpool and Wolverine. I will try and keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but I may touch on things featured in things like promotional material and trailers and things like that. So if you don't want to know anything at all, then give this a listen after you've seen it. In terms of the plot, it's quite hard to do without spoiling, but it follows on from previous Deadpool films as Wade Wilson finds himself at loggerheads with the Time Variance Authority for messing around jumping timelines. This leads him to learn that his own universe is doomed, and he's going to have to take drastic action where he hops across universes in order to try and save it, including enlisting the world-saving help of Wolverine, who we last saw in Logan. Okay, let's get stuck in. Now, I went into this with some trepidation. I don't read or listen to reviews before I've written my own, but such is the hype around this film that it was hard not to see the odd headline or star rating. And I could see it was mixed, with some really not being fans of it. Now, that wouldn't normally bother me, because I'm all about making my own mind up, but it did enforce a worry that I'd already had, which is this film would simply be a succession of cameos and lots of fan service. And to a large extent, that is what it is, but I really enjoyed it for that. Before I go any further, listen, it's only fair to point this out. I myself am a huge fan of the character, of the previous films, and of the wider comic book universes, so I am a fan. This film very much existed to please me, and that's just what it did. I won't go into that anymore, though, because I think it'd spoil it, but if you are a fan, go and see it as soon as you can and try and go in knowing as little about this as possible. In terms of it as its own film, then I think it's got everything that's good about the other Deadpool films. It's got great action scenes, lots of blood and gore, if that's your thing. It's really funny throughout. The screening I was in certainly had lots and lots of laughs in it, and everyone seemed to be having a whale of a time. It's got that Deadpool Ryan Reynolds quippy shtick in it that you may or not like it, but for me, I really like how much that this film lent into that, but also more specifically lent into the meta elements, because it does that more than any of the other Deadpool films, and to such a degree that it incorporates things like rumor, internet conjecture, and it pokes fun at things like studio interference or corporate error and stuff like that. I think one that people miss is that that is very much in keeping with the character of Deadpool, so much so that I found myself laughing at jokes that were so niche it made me wonder if I needed to spend more time doing other things. The performances are great as well. Ryan Reynolds carries it as ever. It's a role he was born to play this. Not only that, but he gets a chance to flex his emotional muscles in the final third, and I thought he was as good as Deadpool as he ever has been. It was superb, of course, to see Hugh Jackman back as well. He's almost the antithesis of Ryan Reynolds' performance in this, in that Ryan Reynolds gets the chance to be funny most of the time with some emotional scenes, but Jackman carries the emotional weight of the film, but also gets to crack his funny bone too, particularly early on in the film. It's almost like an 80-20 split each, and they swap and change. It really works well in combining the weight of all Hugh Jackman's years as Wolverine as well, and the fact that he's back. We thought he was done, and this creates comedy because they poke fun at it in that meta way. But also, I think you feel that emotional weight on him after all this time, and it gives that final act or it gives the whole performance really a little bit more heft and a little bit more spice. In terms of anything I didn't like, it's difficult because I had so much fun with everything it was throwing at me. In the interest of objective balance, though, I've got a few points, and a lot of them are pretty much sort of the reverse of what I've already said. The main one is that it is a lot of fan service, and whilst I love that, I do think it left it feeling a bit narratively weak, not necessarily overall plot and things like that. But if you do think about some of the plot points and devices, it does unravel pretty quickly, and it's probably to the detriment of some of the emotional beats in the final third. They sort of don't really go anywhere and stuff like that. I found it moving, as I did with other Deadpool films, but I don't think it was as moving, especially as the second one. I do think the second one, without spoiling it as well, has some real strong emotional beats in it and a real sort of touching core to it as well. I think as well, because of the fan service and the aim to please the fans, it's probably not for everyone. It explains why some people don't be able to take to it, or some of the jokes are so niche that I can imagine it being quite confusing and isolating for people. I won't spoil it, but I tested this out on my partner who watched it with me, and is what you might call a normal human, and I asked her if she understood certain jokes or the significance of certain things, and she didn't get it. However, she said she really enjoyed it, so there's clearly enough there to keep people interested. Other than that, maybe I'd like to have seen more of the characters we saw in the other Deadpool films, but I do get that something had to give in order for the film to be what they set out to make, and I think that's ultimately what they did. Listen, the main takeaway from this, for me, is this. If you're a fan of these films, the MCU, the 20th Century Fox films, the X-Men films, and all the lore around it, then I think you'll probably like this. It is literally set up to give you spoonful after spoonful of tasty, tasty comic book soup. And it really is a love letter that closes the book on the 20th Century Fox films. If you're not a fan, there's a good action film in there with laughs, but you may well find yourself not being able to see the point of it or not fully grasping some of the gags and reveals. But you know what? That's fine. I think there's a strange narrative around fan service that it's not okay, or that it's easy, or that it's low-hanging fruit, or whatever. And that may be. And it may be that it's easy wins all over the show, but films and media and things like this are made for fans. And films like this, they give fans a lot of joy. And sometimes that can just be by showing them things that you never ever thought you'd get to see. Or sometimes it can be that it's just there to lift spirits in dark days, which is a good thing in my view. And even if you don't like it, listen, there's plenty of other stuff out there that you don't like. There's plenty of things that are out there that I don't like, but you know what? I respect people's right to like them. But as ever, listen, this is my opinion. To each his own. That's the job of a film critic, is to give their criticism, I suppose. So get out there, give this a watch, make up your own mind, and thank you very much for listening. It's goodbye from me. Cheerio!
Hey, it's Danny Pellegrino from Everything Iconic. Ready to upgrade your style game without blowing your budget? Check out Quince. They've got all the good stuff, shirts and polos, activewear, and fine leather goods, all at 50 to 80% less than other high-end brands. And the best part? They're all about safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing. Get that luxury vibe without the luxury price tag. Hit up quince.com/upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's quince.com/upgrade.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Acast.
As dawn broke over the seven seas, the pirates of the Crimson Galleon set sail for adventure. But there was one problem: paperwork. Mountains of it. Filing, invoices, you name it.
This work ain't fit for a pirate.
Luckily, their captain had an idea. She used the smart buying tools on Amazon Business so they could work more efficiently and get back to doing what they do best. I know, right? Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.